Complete game coverage of the Cougars is right here on the KSL Sports Zone. It's a Big 12 title game showdown for Kalani Sitake and the Cougars as they square off against Texas Tech for a spot in the college football playoff. Exclusive Big 12 title game coverage on the Zone is presented by JCW's, the Burger Boys. Quality and a lot of it. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson. Hey, Utah's holiday magic starts here. Experience holiday lights at the ballpark at America First Square. Dazzling displays, music, and family fun now through January 3rd. Get tickets at the ballpark at afs.com. Ben, we're going to talk a little college football here, but of course it's Big 12 Championship week, and our coverage of the Big 12 Championship all week long is brought to you by our good friends at JCW's, the Burger Boys. Quality and a lot of it. So any interviews or to preview the game, it's all brought to you by JCW's. If you put it on that paper, I'm going to read it.
I almost cut you off because I almost did the same thing.
Going to read it. Ben, there was some breaking Big 12 coaching news this morning. Kansas State coach Chris Kleiman has decided to retire at the ripe young age of 58.
Well, his contract's coming up to an end, right?
Something like
I think he has a deal through 2032.
Oh, right. Yeah, exactly. So he's got plenty of money left on the table.
He's got a forever deal.
Yeah.
And coasted to this job as long as he wanted.
Now, this year was a bit of a disappointment.
It was, yeah.
But he's been really good there, right? We can all agree that he's
5 bowl appearances, won a conference championship 3 years ago?
Yep. And remember when Bill Snyder retired the first time from Kansas State, their replacement was so bad, like a 90-year-old Bill Snyder had to come out of retirement again to stable the program, and then Kleiman took it and has done a really good job. But the heat that was surrounding him seemed crazy because when I first saw that press conference after the Ute game, where he was emotional. Mm-hmm. I mean, and talking about his players and does that look like the effort of a team that's quit and all this stuff? I thought to myself, good heavens, is the pressure cooker that high? I mean, I watched Kyle Whittingham have 2 4-8 seasons in a row. He never sounded like that.
No.
Like that?
And so it's like, oh, what's going on with this guy? And then I hear the news today that he's retiring. Please. Did that sound like a dude who was wanting to retire to you, Ben?
As opposed to Witt, whose final press conference or post-game presser did sound more like a guy who's ready to retire and was kind of, emotional about the seniors and maybe his last game at Rice-Eccles. You're right. Chris Kleiman had a different tone than a guy who was saying, well, I won't be back next year. This was it for me. I didn't get that sense from him either.
Not in the slightest. And then what news comes out hand in hand with the Kleiman news, Ben?
That they've already got their next head coach.
They've got their next head coach already. What do you know? It's superstar quarterback for Kansas State, Colin Klein.
Colin Klein, yeah, who is now at Texas A&M.
And happens to be one of the hot coordinators out there in line for a next head coaching job. So it wouldn't take that big of a leap to think that they just gave old Kleiman the shove, said we're going to call this a retirement, have a nice day, and we're going to hire old Colin Klein.
Coach Kleiman, this is the athletic director. The donors told me you're out. So you want to retire? Because they've already got the next guy paid for. They've got your buyout paid for. This is really your only option if I want to keep my job.
Now, people will say, but he retired. Now, listen, the word retire does not always meet one definition. Frank Beamer retired, but with some encouragement.
As of this morning, Chris Paul might be retired.
Yeah, right. I believe, and I've talked to people about this before, but it's not like I know everything. I believe when Lavelle retired, he might have been encouraged to make that decision. So don't always get married to the word retire. And there's a reason they do that. It
sounds nice. It does sound nice. It sounds better.
They wanted him to save face, and I'm sure they came up with a lovely retirement package so we would make that decision. But and maybe, Ben, this is just me coming off a trip and a funeral where I happen to be surrounded by literally hundreds of Virginia Tech fans. Be careful when you push the old man out the door.
Yeah.
Because they haven't replaced Frank Beamer at Virginia Tech yet, and they haven't even come close. And frankly, Franklin has a big job on his hands because that program isn't what it used to be. And they somehow, the university and their new AD had convinced themselves like, oh, this guy who's won here for years doesn't have it anymore. And then you cost yourself 10, 15 years of heartache.
Mediocrity. Yeah.
Mediocrity.
Yep.
BYU was really lucky to find Bronco. They were really lucky to find Bronco because that could have spun out of control quickly because you were in a hurry to get the NFL offensive genius in the door. And that brings up Utah a little bit, and I don't know Utah's opinion on Coach Witt, and I would believe them, I suppose, when the decision will be all up to Coach Witt. But there are some other factors that are involved in this whole thing. For one thing, BYU and Virginia Tech both did not hire the next in line when they pushed out the head coach. BYU did not hire Norm Chow. Norm Chow had left the year before, but he forever was, okay, when Lavelle hangs it up, this is Norm Chow. Virginia Tech did not give it to Bud Foster.
Yeah.
Florida did give it to Will Muschamp after Spurrier retired, who was the coach in waiting or the next guy or whatever, and that turned out to be a disaster. I'm trying to think. There have been examples where the contractual coach in waiting is not selected when the coach is moved out. I mean, my point is these situations are so delicate.
Yeah, little Belichick in North Carolina.
Yeah. What is...
He's not going to get that job.
If Morgan Scalley is tired of being on ice and says the old man's never going to retire, I wouldn't blame him for one single second. Especially this year.
Yeah, of course.
With the coaching carousel being unlike anything we've ever seen. So there would be some momentum to encourage Kyle Whittingham to retire. Again, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I'm just saying that if Utah says, oh, Morgan is a hot commodity, we cannot let him go, which could very well be true. I think he's a fine coach. And I think he probably has offers if he wants them. So how does that impact Coach Witt's decision? Because I'm sure he wants to leave the program to his guy, right?
Yeah, you would think so.
I'm honestly surprised we haven't heard a decision one way or the other from him.
A lot of theories that you want to get through today, which is National Letter of Intent Day. Again, the report that he has to have it decided by Friday. It's like until he says, hey, I need another week, and they say, okay, yeah, of course, you're Kyle Whittingham. You're going to the College Football Hall of Fame. You're the best coach we've ever had. We'll give you as much time as you
Okay,
need.
can I tell you why I don't like that logic? You really want your new recruits, the first thing to be you lying to them?
I'm with you.
Like, what would be the point of keeping him
totally
until signing day so he could go, yeah, I'm going to be here? I don't buy that.
I totally get it.
I don't buy that in the slightest. I would buy that Coach Witt himself doesn't know and needs time to make up his mind. I would buy into that, but signing day, I don't buy that in the slightest. In fact, if anything, they're telling recruits what Coach Witt's decision is going to be.
You would think so. You would hope they would not be pulling the wool over their players' eyes of not knowing what Witt's going to do.
Yeah, you don't want him out there selling that he's going to be there, and then the first thing he does is go, just kidding.
Going back to Kansas State, because it ties into Kalani Sitake, and it ties into Kyle Whittingham, and it ties into what is a fair expectation now, because what is interesting that's happening within the Big 12 is you have two schools that are saying, we are not like you. Texas Tech and BYU are looking at the rest of the Big 12 and saying, we are not in your same conversation anymore. We are going to have $20+ million rosters. We have coaches that make among the top 15 in the country. You know, in Kalani's case, it's going to be higher than that now at $9.5 million a year, or whatever the deal is. It's a huge contract. You know, for comparison, Witt makes, $6.5? Which is a huge number, but 9 is a lot bigger than 6 when you're talking about, millions as a head coach.
50% bigger.
50% larger. Yeah, it's a lot.
Nice.
So BYU and Texas Tech are trying to look at what the standings say today and look at what they think is available going forward and say, we don't think the rest of you can compete with us financially. And if you can't compete with us financially, the world is telling us that you can't compete with us on the field either. And so we're going to separate ourselves from you. And that doesn't mean they're leaving the Big 12, but it means they're leaving the rest of the Big 12 behind. And they're going to try and compete that way. And if they do, what does that mean for the rest of the teams? How does Kansas State continue to compete? How does Utah continue to compete? What can they realistically be expected to do if you can buy your way to the top of the conference, which Texas Tech is saying, yes, we can, and we are. And BYU is saying, yeah, we can, and we've done it too. I don't know. Should they be better than 6-6 at Kansas State? Probably, because the rest of the Big 12 is not that amazing.
Not every year. That's
but not every year.
Yeah.
Again, Utah was 5-7 last year and bounced back with a 10-2 season. If you would have told me next year with a senior quarterback coming back, retooling through the transfer portal, a little bit NIL money better spent, that they could have been back to 9 wins next season, 10 wins next season, and Chris Kleiman's still in his late 50s and very good and knows the program, they would have been fine. I would have totally believed you. I would have counted Kansas State out next year. And now you're starting over, you're hitting the reset button? I think it's bizarre.
I bet they'll have to fire Colin Klein. Let's see here. During his tenure at Kansas State, and we're going to throw out the 2020 year where he went 4-6 because, frankly, it just doesn't count.
It's just a bizarre season.
2019 been 8-5, 2021 8-5, 2022 10-4 and a conference title, 2023 9-4, 2024 9-4, 2025 6-6.
2022, is that the year they beat TCU in the conference championship? TCU goes to the college football playoff anyways? Is that same season? Uh-huh. Is that what happened?
I think so.
I have to go back and look. But yeah, no, he's a great coach. He's one of the good coaches. He will get picked up again. If he is not retiring out of his own desire, somebody should hire him. He's a really good coach.
So
in fact, in all honesty, Penn State should look at him. And I'm not kidding about that.
So many bad, rash decisions are made in college football, and this is going to be another one. Although Kansas State probably isn't going to have the resources as those schools that you mentioned, so time for outside-the-box thinking maybe? I don't know if this does it.
That doesn't seem outside the box to me. That seems like a bunch of donors, and we see this all the time. Donors who fall in love with the player, they say, man, you know how cool that guy was? Remember how cool Ty Detmer was? That's going to be your next offensive coordinator. Or this guy was a cool quarterback for us. I liked watching him play. That's going to be our next head coach. So we're going to pay him, and we don't have money for your head coach anymore. In fact, the only money we have for the existing guy is his buyout. We see that all the time, and that feels exactly like what's happening here at Kansas State. And those rash decisions usually backfire.
I agree, and don't necessarily attract coaches the next time you're making a decision.
No, they don't.
So I don't get it. But it does, I think, directly relate to what's going on at Utah. And it does kind of compare to BYU and their great effort to keep a coach that they know can do a good job. You always fall in love with the next guy. Fall in love with the backup quarterback. I mean, it's the same. It's the same phenomenon. And when you're UVA and you keep Al Groh for 10 years for some reason when he can't win more than 4 games, that doesn't make any sense. But when you're Kansas State and you push out Chris Kleiman, he's winning 9 games a year except for 1 year. I find that ridiculous. Do you really need to overhaul that? Is that really required? Penn State, do you really need to overhaul James Franklin?
Right.
Is that really necessary? Because he lost to a terrible UCLA team once?
So along those lines, and even though I think it contradicts a little bit of what I said in the last hour about I don't think BYU needed to feel like Kalani was the only guy for the job. If you do feel like you have the right guy and they're in the prime of their career, which Kalani is right now, don't move on if you don't have to. And BYU didn't have to. BYU was able to get the money together, get the support together to show Kalani that he was welcome there and not just welcome. But as I think Brian Santiago is the one who said it yesterday, Kalani is really going to be the face of the athletic department for BYU and the entire university going forward. If you feel like he's the guy who's right to do it, and certainly I think emotionally he can do it, I think he has the personality to do it and not embarrass BYU, then pay him. Keep him around.
Well, it's more about what you know, I think. You know, with Jay, who we love, who knows?
Yeah, you don't know.
Who knows?
Same with Morgan.
Right, I agree.
If I were Utah, I wouldn't be in a hurry. If Witt wants to come back, I would absolutely let Witt come back. And I understand Morgan might be mad about that.
I don't think it would be a mad thing. I think it'd be, I'm going to have to move. I'm going to have to step up eventually.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure he'd prefer it be at Utah, but if it's got to be somewhere else, then it's got to be somewhere else. But it's been going on 3 years now with this song and dance at the end of the season of retire or not retire, at least 2. Mm-hmm.
But you know what?
And he's been the interim coach the coach in waiting twice.
Yeah.
And this latest time, how long has he been the coach in waiting? 4 years now?
It's been a while.
So, I mean, that's...
No, I wouldn't blame Morgan. I think Utah would be in good shape if they hire Morgan. Utah also should not feel the same way obligated to bring Morgan back if they feel like they have other guys that are available for the job.
What is the reason you would give somebody a coach in waiting? What is the point? Is it just feel goods for everybody, or what is the point?
If you really feel like you do have a special person who's ready to step up, it's why you don't trade Jordan Love even though you have Aaron Rodgers. If you really feel like you have the guy that's going to be perfect, that's the one reason I could see justifying it.
Why would you just let that guy go on and be a coordinator until the time comes?
Well, if you have a legend in front of him.
But why would you give him the label? You could put Morgan Scalley on ice as a DC, no problem.
I'm with you.
It's because he has other opportunities. It's because he comes to Utah and goes, hey, Weber State called or whoever. I'm talking years ago. And Utah goes, well, we really want you to stay.
Right.
And he says, dude, I want to go be a head coach
at Colorado or Colorado State.
Or Oregon State or whoever.
Boise State,
he said, they're calling me, I'd love to stay here, but... And they go, you know what? We'll guarantee you're going to be the next head coach. That's the only reason you do that.
We have seen that. You see that in business every day. Everyone knows somebody who's like, you got your title changed? Now you're associate vice president or what I mean? Whatever. It's like, why are you got a title change to appease you and a little bit of a pay bump. And the idea is, yes, it'll keep you around.
Yeah, and they can give Morgan Scalley raises all day long. I'm sure he's like, you've got to assure me that I've got some security here. If I'm going to pass on Arizona.
Sure.
And again, I'm just making up stuff out of the blue.
Right.
If I got to pass on Arizona, well, then you better, I guess, bird in the hand, ball in the carpet, man. You gotta let me know. And then that, satisfaction only lasts so long. There's an expiration date on that.
Yeah, of course.
Or else you're just treading water and you're going to become the next Bud Foster or Norm Chow who hung on for years because you thought you were going to be the next guy and then you weren't.
Agreed.
So the rubber meeting the road in that situation might not be anybody's fault, but it is going to happen. For sure. And so I'm curious, we haven't seen an announcement from Coach Witt or something, and he doesn't strike me as retirement tour dude.
No, he said he wouldn't. He said he's just going to not come in one day. He'll be here one day, gone the next.
So how does that work itself out if he decides to come back? To keep Morgan, he would have to say, this is the last year, I promise.
Yeah, right.
And then it turns into retirement tour. So
Well, has anybody checked his office today? Is he there?
Do we know if he business as usual, which was the report coming out of Monday?
I don't know. It definitely, I think, is more complicated than Coach Witt just making up his mind. Even if he's the final decision maker. It's way more complicated than that.
Well, there are dominoes that will fall accordingly. One of the reports that came out about this, Kalani Sitake decision going to Penn State was, the rumor was that there might have been Utah coaches included. If Jay, and I think the theory would have been if Jay Hill were to have taken the BYU job, would Morgan have gone to Penn State and said, well, yeah, Witt's never leaving. This job's not opening up for me this year. Would I follow Kalani or something along those lines? Maybe it was somebody else entirely. But regardless, that seems like the obvious position that would have been open, and you could have justified it for Morgan getting a pay raise and then saying, yeah, I'm a defensive coordinator at a Big Ten school, and if I win there, I'm definitely going to get another job. And right now, I'm waiting for a job that I have no idea when it's going to open. It's probably going to be in the next couple of years, but maybe not. The Witt could keep coming back. Again, Witt has this fire, and as we have talked about, you were talking about Frank Beamer and all these coaches who hang on for a long time. Joe Pa just hung on forever. You think Joe Pa didn't tease retirement 10 years before he actually retired?
Well, no, I don't think he did. The reason those guys, the rumors started happening is because they were so old. That's what makes this way more complicated because Witt's only 64?
Yeah, mid-60s.
65? God, Frank Beamer was well into his 70s. I'd have to look at it. How old was Lavelle when he made the Witt 66? That complicates it because he obviously has the energy and all that too.
He still has it. Again, he still has his fastball.
Right. Yeah. So that makes it way more complicated because
if he was in his 70s. But what I'm saying is there were probably questions about not should they push him out, but hey, is this guy 65 years old now? Is Joe Pa going to hang it up because he's been at Penn State for 20 years already at this point and he hung on till 30? That you don't know. I don't think Witt's going to do that. Witt has said he's not going to do that, but I don't know if he's not coming back next year. No one seems to know.
I know following the Frank Beamer situation, nobody talked about retirement until he was going 500.
Sure.
And then everybody's like, oh, well, this guy. And Witt's not at that point last year aside.
And you know what? Witt, or the Utah job, the same way I feel at the BYU job, should not feel like there's only one man for the job, is the truth. Now, I have said Utah should let Witt stay around as long as he wants. I truly believe that. I still believe that. If he wants to be there at Utah, he has what it takes to win, and it's really hard to win. Winning is the most important thing you can do right now, and Witt can do it. Won 10 games this season. So if he wants to stay around, let him stay around. But the coach in waiting thing is weird. And I'm not fighting against Morgan Scalley being the next guy. I would love to see Morgan get that opportunity. I think Morgan's a really good coach. He's proven it on the defensive side of the ball. I think he probably has the right temperament to be the head coach at Utah. But, like, if Morgan were to leave and Utah were to tap Jay Hill, would Jay Hill not do a good job also? Like, or they went and got Urban, and Urban did a great job. Like, you can find good coaches to come and be at your school at Utah. It's a good job.
This take long predates Morgan Scalley, so don't get me wrong. I've always found the coach in waiting thing totally stupid because it means nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be like me telling you that you are the next Mr. Universe. It means nothing.
It doesn't mean anything.
It means nothing. But you can walk around town and say, hey, I was told I'm going to be the next Mr. Universe. It doesn't mean anything. There's no obligation to anything, especially in college football. Like, even if he got it in contract, how much are contracts worth in college football?
Yeah, if you have to pay him $1 million to not get the job, right? Which is the rumor, right? He gets $1 million
like
if he doesn't get hired. It's like, yeah, you just factor that into Witt's buyout. You factor that into Witt's going away money.
Yeah, it means
the donor doesn't care.
Yeah, it means nothing. So if I'm Morgan, I'm considering all of my options, 1,000%. And if Utah's his number one job that he wants, he needs to have his finger on the pulse of what Kyle's going to do, because you can only stay on ice for so long before you go like, okay, well, what happens if Coach Witt does pull a Frank Beamer and go out with a few 500 seasons and everybody sours on the coaching staff? That's how Bud Foster didn't get the job. Mm-hmm. The AD soured on the whole staff because Frank lost his fastball.
Yep.
That's how Norm Chow didn't get the job. Mm-hmm. Because he was around long enough thinking, this is my gig. Uh-huh. And then Lavelle has a couple of average seasons, and all of a sudden it's like, well, we don't want any of these bozos.
Yeah, right.
We want the Chicago Bears offensive coordinator.
Yep.
Which is crazy. All right, we've got What You Got Wednesday coming up next. Do we know what we're doing?
With one of them, seems like.
All right.
Half.
Stay tuned. More straight ahead. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The sports you love, the teams you can't live without.
Get a sense of urgency!
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
What you got Wednesday? What's the deal? Jake's got rules, Ben's out to steal. Bozo takes their spinning around. Flush it down, flush it down.
Jacob Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Join Hanson Scotty from noon to 3 at Tim Daly Nissan Southtown. Coming up today, 11155 South Jordan Gateway in South Jordan. Tim Daly, home of the Forever Warranty. It's time for What You Got Wednesday. If you're new to the show, Ben and I go head-to-head every Wednesday. 2 5-selection drafts, one sports-related, one not. And then we put it out to the listeners for a vote. What happened last week, Christian?
Last week, teams that will never get off the mat. Ben won 60-40. Most famous moms. I think we changed that to notorious. Jake won 79-21.
Yeah, all right.
Took Jesus' mom.
So I get the first selection in the sports draft, and you get the non-sports. All right. What is today's sports-related topic?
Let's go with most desirable jobs in college football.
Most desirable jobs.
This is hard. I think there's a lot of ways to look at this.
There is, and it was inspired because Kalani didn't take the Penn State job, which is the job where you can more easily win, because there are other things that factor for him on why BYU was the better job.
Yep.
So it's not necessarily where you can win, but that obviously matters. So I'm curious to see your calculus. I think there is an automatic number one pick.
Because there is a difference between, again, best job and most desirable job. I think we're defining two different things. I think that's going to confuse some people, but I think you'll get it by the end.
Okay. I think there is an automatic number one pick.
I think there is too.
And I think it's Ohio State.
Oh, okay. Not what I was going with.
You can win at the highest levels, obviously. You're in a big-time league. Mm-hmm. The head coach is going to get paid $1 zillion, but you can actually stay there forever. The last 2 coaches before shoe polish day, why did they leave? Did they get fired?
No.
Controversy.
Yeah.
Urban had a bunch of stuff going on.
Yep.
And Jim Tressel had players trading memorabilia for tattoos. You can coach there. Tressel was there forever. Urban Meyer was there for a decade. Old Shoe Polish is one big there. And I don't think Shoe Polish is that great a coach, honestly. Won big there, stayed there forever. I think a moron could win there. Seems like their resources are in line. Great fan base. Ohio State.
For the same reasons, but I think even better, I'm going to take Georgia. Because the difference for Georgia is you have the single best recruiting ground coming out of high school of anywhere in the country.
That's a factor.
You have a great job. There's been pretty good job safety there. Now, Kirby's just a great coach, so that's why he's had that job and has job security. But if you can't get a top 5 recruiting class at Georgia, you're an idiot.
The reason I didn't pick Georgia is because they were good, not great pre-Kirby.
I think that's fair.
At Ohio State, they've had a bunch of people win. But different criteria, of course. That's the name of the game
here. Yeah.
I'm going to go with Oregon, specifically because of Uncle Phil and Nike in general. If you have
Has to be on the list.
If you have Nike on your side, then life is good. Now, it makes expectations a little out of whack.
There is higher pressure. Mark Helfrich did not last.
No, he did not, but he wasn't particularly a good coach, but I get your point. So Chipper won there. I think Lanning's pretty good, but I mean, it's the ultimate ace card, especially in the NIL world now. I mean, Nike can get you whatever you want.
I guess along those lines, because I don't disagree with you, I'm going to go with Texas Tech, which is funny, somewhat doing the same thing, which clearly this big donor, remind me his name, if we remember it.
Cody Campbell.
Cody Campbell is trying to be old Waffle Shoes Nike himself, to buy the best, have the best, willing to invest to have the best, without necessarily having the pressure of the Big Ten behind you having to play those opponents. Now, the hard part is if you don't win the league, you don't make it to the college football playoff, and that makes it slightly less desirable. But Joey McGuire, he's a pretty good coach. But all of a sudden, that's one of the best jobs because the resources are there in a league where it's fertile for the picking.
He just got a new contract.
And he just got
too.
a new contract. You can win there.
All right. I'm going to take Alabama.
Okay.
I don't think Alabama's resources are
I think you're going
quite.
to confuse people. People are thinking we're just picking the best jobs here.
I know. We'll get there.
Which is fine.
Multiple coaches have won at Alabama. Multiple coaches have been able to win there and stay for a long time. And they're in the league you want to be in. The pressure is the downside. Like Kalen DeBoer lost 2 games early and already had people barking at him.
Yeah, for sure. You got to win.
But is it any coincidence that like Bear, Gene Stallings, and Nick Saban all won there? Alabama.
I'm going to go with the school that truly has the strangest existence, and we just take it for granted because it has this name. It's got to be Notre Dame. Notre Dame, just whatever you do, and I get they've won 10 straight. Like Notre Dame has had a very good season.
Yeah.
But a lot of people win at Notre Dame. Brian Kelly won at Notre Dame. Who's their coach right now? I can't think of his name.
Marcus Freeman.
Marcus Freeman's winning right now at Notre Dame. You get players who want to go there. You don't have to compete for a conference championship. As long as you win 10 games, you're either going to the college football championship game in the past or you're going to the playoff now. It's a really good job.
And because you're not in a league, resources will never be a problem
Doesn't
because
matter.
they pocket 100% of the shares from if you make college football playoff, all that whole share is going to Notre Dame, not the rest of the league. So
they got the NBC thing still,
no,
right?
I'm with you.
Notre Dame's a great job.
It's absolutely a great job. All right. I'm going to go outside the box on this one.
Okay.
Okay. Northwestern.
Okay. Interesting.
You win 5 games a year, you can be there for 20 years.
You score 14 points. It's like, what is this offensive explosion?
What's the guy who was there before that actually didn't they beat Utah in a bowl game? Pat Fitzgerald, who just got a new job, right?
The Michigan State coach.
Decidedly average program.
Was that the Vegas Bowl?
That sounds right.
And then Utah hired the OC.
Yeah.
to be a consultant.
Decidedly, like if you go look at his record, decidedly average. He was there for 100 years, having a good team. And when I say good team, I mean like above 6 wins team. What, once every 5 years? He could have stayed there forever. He didn't get fired either.
Did he leave?
He got caught up in scandal because
that's
his strength coach was doing something. And I know it was something awful, so I'm not I'm not making light of it. I should go back and look.
But you're right. It has all the benefits of being a Big Ten school without any of the expectations.
At all.
Yeah.
Northwestern.
Yeah. And then you've got a bunch of smart kids, a bunch of communications majors, and, that are just like, oh.
You're in Chicago?
Yeah.
Good
right.
times.
Cool job. I'm with you. Along those lines, but completely different, maybe similar on what's longitude versus latitude? I don't remember which one's which. Give me Boise State. I think Boise State's a really good job.
They've had some idiots there, too, that have won.
They have. And you are kind of the best of that conference, and you're expected to be the best of that conference. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to win this weekend. They probably lose to UNLV, but they have name brand value built into their program regardless. You go in, you're expected to win there. You're going to win there. Recruits will go there because it's the best of the rest, notoriously. So I think Boise State's a pretty good job.
Man, okay, I'm really conflicted, and I could tell you why after we're done here. But you know what? I'm going to take Florida. And I realize
had a lot of coaches.
I realized that the LSU job was more of a priority than Florida. So maybe I'll lose this one. But I feel like you have to include a Florida school for the same reason that you picked Georgia. And just because Florida has hired a cavalcade of shark-humping bozos does not mean that it's not an awesome job. And remember when Notre Dame was picking between, or when Urban Meyer was picking between Notre Dame and Florida, he picked
Florida.
You should be able to win huge at Florida.
You should.
You're
Why
in
is
the
nobody
SEC.
doing it?
Because they're hiring idiots. Do you remember? Jim McElwain was an idiot. He had one good year at Colorado State. One at Colorado State. Terrible. And Mullen was okay.
I like Dan Mullen, but yeah.
Wait,
He was okay.
you said they're doing what
Huh?
to Sharks?
That was Jim McElwain. Look it up.
Why
But
Florida
I'm not-
over Miami?
Because of the league.
Okay.
And Florida State because of the league.
Miami still gets to coast on reputation alone, and I don't know if Mario Cristobal can coach, but they're like, yeah, we'll put you in the playoff. We kind of like you. It's a cool team.
You make your pick and then we can talk about this.
Washington. Washington has a little bit of the Northwestern thing going on, but has a better recruiting pool and kind of has the West Coast not to themselves, but a thinner recruiting battle being in the West than if they were in Big Ten country.
If you're a bad coach, though, you can be really bad at Washington. Who was the bozo that replaced Chris Peterson?
Yeah.
He was terrible.
He was
and
terrible.
remember when, the old Notre Dame coach went there? You know what I'm talking about?
yes,
and
I do.
had a winless season
Yeah.
or one-win
No,
season
it
or
can
whatever.
fall apart. Hey, BYU, did BYU lose to Washington? Is that the
No, they
missed field goal?
barely
They barely
beat
beat him on the field goal?
They barely beat him on it was like a penalty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the lows can be really low, but I think you can rebound and win actually at a pretty high level pretty quickly.
So the reason I was thinking about taking Miami is because you can be decidedly average there and you have all the resources in the world and everybody still thinks you're good. Mm-hmm. So maybe I should have picked Miami.
I think I would take Miami over
Florida
myself.
Urban taking Florida over Notre Dame was my kind of deciding factor. Because if Notre Dame's such a great job, Urban thought Florida was a better job. All right, let's review.
Quick review, Jake, you had the number one pick. You went Ohio State, Oregon, Alabama, Northwestern, and Florida. Ben went Georgia, Texas Tech, Notre Dame, Boise State, and Washington.
The only reason I wouldn't say Boise is the paycheck.
Yeah, great.
Up next, most overrated actors. Quentin Tarantino had some shots to take yesterday. You can go look it up in case you missed it.
Doesn't
but that's
like the
our
actor
topic.
Paul Dano.
He said There Will Be Blood would have been the best movie of the 21st century.
He's done his top 25 or top 20 list of the last 25 years.
Had it not been for Paul Dano and his poor acting. So we're going with overrated actors. You have the first pick in this one. Is there an automatic number one pick?
No, I don't know which direction to go here.
There is kind of for me.
Is there?
Yeah.
I will go with a guy who's absolutely lost it, maybe more than overrated, because I think when he had it, he was great. I'm going to go with Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp is still like a guy who I think some people are like, Johnny Depp's going to be in a new movie. I'm going to see it. And it's like, Johnny Depp hasn't made a good movie in 20 years and really wasn't in his prime since the early 90s.
Yeah, I mean, Pirates was great.
Yeah,
Not
so that's
all of
early
them, but
the
that
2000s.
But that character was great, and you can look at his raw. I think maybe I wouldn't have picked Johnny because I think he could still act, but
I don't know if he can.
his personal life has turned into a circus.
He is a circus
which
of a person.
has kind of ruined it.
Yep.
I'm going with Keanu Reeves, hands down. I watched The Matrix 1 once, and I hated his performance in it so much because it's the same as Speed. He even did a Shakespeare. Look it up. I can't remember if it was Hamlet or Othello or something like that. A Kenneth Branagh Shakespeare. And it was just like he was playing Ted.
I love Keanu Reeves. I actually think there's probably areas where he's a little underrated as an actor because he kind of gets the Bill and Ted. Like,
He's Ted.
And like Christian and I both love this movie, Dracula. He's so bad and miscast in Dracula, the Gary Oldman one from the early 90s, is crazy. But I think at his best, he has something. So I'm a Keanu Reeves fan, but I don't think it's a bad pick. Certainly. I'm not going to argue with you that it's a bad pick. All right. I'm going to go with another guy who's a huge star. I've never really bought him as an actor, especially since early again, and that's Will Smith. I have not, like, even...
That's a good one.
Even Pursuit of Happiness, I get it. He cries on scene. People are like, well, that makes you a great actor. It's like, I don't know. He's kind of just Will Smith all the time, and I don't really like the Will Smith thing. And not just because he's smacking Chris Rock.
He's terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told you I've been off him since... well, I didn't like Independence Day.
And I liked Independence Day.
But, I mean, the Wild Wild West thing was like,
yeah.
Okay, you're just stealing from
terrible.
people.
Yeah, truly terrible.
All right. I hope this makes sense. And it isn't necessarily the movies, but he plays himself in every movie.
Okay.
Arnold. He's not a good actor. He's just,
of course, not a good actor.
No, he's just muscle man who plays big Austrian guy in everything he's ever done.
I have really come around on Arnold in my life, and I have a much better appreciation for this late act Arnold and whatever he's doing now. I like him a lot more, and it's made me like kind of the younger thing of like, this is a person trying to figure himself out, but he's certainly not a good actor.
No.
No argument that he's a good actor.
No.
But I do find myself enjoying Arnold in general and his...
that's what I'm saying. His movie, Kindergarten Cop is entertaining, but he plays...
What's his Christmas movie, Jingle All the Way?
Yeah, he plays the same thing. It's the same thing.
Stupid.
Predator 1, so sick.
Or
Predator 1's great. No, like Terminator 2 is one of the best movies of all time.
But he's the same guy in every one.
He plays a robot because he's not a good actor.
Or what's the one he's with Jamie Lee Curtis and Tom Arnold?
True Lies.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, exact same guy.
Yeah.
Last Action Hero, though, kind of fun. He's like kind of making fun of himself. So he has something there. All right, I'm going to go with Mr. Charisma. I don't buy it. I'm going with Ryan Reynolds, even though I like some Ryan Reynolds movies as well. I like Just Friends. I even like some of his bad ones. People hate Free Guy or whatever the latest one. Like he is charming. He has his thing. I just think he's overrated as an actor. Deadpool is great. It's a very funny movie. The first one is very funny.
I agree with you, Ryan Reynolds. Nope.
He's just his thing. I think there are far more compelling actors.
Yep. There certainly are. All right, Ben, where to go next? You know what? Even though she's in one of my favorite movies,
okay,
got to go with J-Lo.
Yeah.
Jennifer Lopez.
She never really... She had like the early roles, right? She was Selena, which is very good. She was really good in that. And it's obviously, it's a role she was designed to play. You know, that's the role she was born for. She had a couple of good ones here and there, but yeah, I'm not sure she ever fully broke through as like, here's the great role. Unless you like the new Magic Mike or The Cell.
She's in the new Magic Mike?
She's in one of them, right?
I didn't see the old Magic Mike.
Christian, you have the box set.
You're asking the wrong.
If you don't have it,
man.
I bet I know what you're getting for Christmas. Magic Mike box set.
You do that to Christian?
I'm inviting him over to watch him.
My wife would appreciate it.
Yeah, that's great. Happy wife. All right, I'm up. I don't think anyone... Here's the disappointing thing. I'll go with the guy who I actually think has chops and doesn't utilize them enough. Because at his best, he's good. And he does a bad job with it, and it's not probably who you're thinking. I'm going with Mark Wahlberg, who I actually think Mark Wahlberg, if you've seen Boogie Nights, if you've seen, like, what's the one he does with Will Ferrell? Like, he's pretty funny.
The Other Guys?
The Other Guys. He's got some good drama stuff. I just think he really mails it in as, like, I work out harder than anybody on the planet, and I think it's kind of boring. Mark Wahlberg.
I can't believe I'm getting this star this late.
Okay.
Jennifer Aniston.
Oh, Jen.
Can't act her way out of a paper bag.
No, she cannot.
There's a reason she could never duplicate the success of Friends, and that's because
she did the Jason Bateman romantic comedy.
What, the Horrible Bosses one?
Well, she wasn't Horrible Boss. Actually, that was kind of a funny role. No, she did another one where they're on dating, or she's dating Vince Vaughn. Was that one she did? I don't know.
Remember the rom-com she made with Jay Moore? That was just awful.
She's not. Again, she's very good as Rachel. But that's it. That's the only thing she can do. And if you can only do one role, you're really probably not a great actor. You're just being yourself in this situation. Along those lines, and this is going to be by far my most controversial pick, but this guy really can't be a lead anymore, and he's tried. As best, again, great. Dated Jennifer Aniston. Might have been married. I'm going with Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt does not have his fastball anymore.
Oh, I loved the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And he was really good in that.
I think he's actually the weakest part of that movie.
Leo was
good too.
Yeah.
Leo's great. I like, obviously, the ranch and all the Charles Manson stuff aspect of it and whatever the crazy. I think there's some really good stuff there. And they're making his role, whatever his name was, Rick Scott or whatever his name was in the movie.
Cliff Booth.
Cliff Booth. He's Cliff Booth. He's the body double for Leo, who's the actual star. They're making an entire movie just about Cliff Booth now, and I wonder if Brad's not going to be able to do it. I saw F1. He was fine, but it's not that compelling. I don't think Brad Pitt has it anymore, and we still kind of treat him like he does. That's my fear. It's controversial. I have no doubt about it.
All right. I'm trying to think. Because I don't want to say what like if you pick somebody who everybody thinks is a good actor, but I think is overrated, then that's not going to get me any sort of votes. Let me think here, Ben. You know what? I'm going to go for it anyway, because he's just played Maverick every single movie that he's in. And when he's strayed from Maverick, it's really weird and off-putting. I'm going with Tom Cruise. And even though I like that movie that has the raining frogs, his role in it is off-putting.
Oh, I love that. I think that's his best role.
And
his most acting.
What's his cameo in the Ben Stiller comedy? I find that off-putting.
Tropic Thunder.
And then he's just played Maverick from Top Gun, and he's made 13 different Mission Impossible movies. How much range could you have if you were still playing the same character over and over again? I'm going Tom Cruise.
I love his role in Magnolia. He is flopped in some huge roles where he's trying to be something different.
Vanilla Sky was weird.
Yeah, he's. I didn't see Last Samurai, but apparently it's awful, and he doesn't know how to do it.
It's not great. Yeah, and he plays Maverick in Last Samurai. It's the same character.
Yeah, and that's he's a great movie star. He's not a great actor.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
All right, review.
Ben had the number one pick. He went Johnny Depp, Will Smith, Ryan Reynolds, Mark Wahlberg, and Brad Pitt. Jake went Keanu Reeves, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jennifer Lopez, Jennifer Aniston, and Tom Cruise. I would argue Dwayne Johnson should have been on this list.
You know who I should have picked, and I regret it immediately? Kevin Costner.
Oh, Kevin maybe lost his fastball, but he's been good in lots of stuff.
He has had some good things. I love Field of Dreams. I think he's done well. But like Robin Hood, he's just atrocious in.
I love that movie.
He's awful in it. Again, it has really good pieces.
I just love that movie from when I saw it when I was like what age I was, and I really liked it when I was when I was a kid.
They made that movie for us.
The reason I would pick The Rock, if you've ever seen the movie Be Cool, I think The Rock's a good actor.
I haven't seen
movie.
Have you seen Smashing Machine yet?
No.
I want to see it. See if he does
one movie. I get your point, but it does show a little range.
Yeah.
All right. Stay tuned. We wrap it up next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Whether it's the Jazz, Utes, Cougars, or Aggies, these guys have got you covered.
Time to eat, fellas.
You're locked on to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
1, 2, 3, move it.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Two amigos on their ways, talking sports. They got it made, Jake's and also loves his tie-dye. Ben's got style with his scarves. Oh my.
Jacob in 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. This segment is brought to you by Peach Doors and Windows. Amazing home transformations begin with Peach, where 5-star reviews are the norm. Call them today for your free in-home estimate, 801-566-1255. Also, remind you to nominate the sports volunteer you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week. Submit your nomination at kslsports.com/contest and listen every Thursday afternoon to JJ and Alex for the winner. Help us celebrate the efforts of those volunteers making an impact with the Hercules Hero of the Week, sponsored by Hercules First Federal Credit Union and Beehive Meals. Real quick, Ben, because we don't have time to explore this, so maybe we get into it tomorrow. But Chris Paul got cut at 3 a.m.?
He did. He got Raja Belled. He got sent home. Apparently he was not getting along with Tyronn Lue. And you know what? As bad as that roster is not as bad as their 5-16 record or whatever it is, I would believe that Chris Paul was so toxic that they were losing more games than they needed to. Not all of them because of Chris Paul, but that he was actively making it worse.
Man.
And veterans do that. Veterans poison locker rooms.
It's got to be bad. I don't even think the Jazz cut Mark Jackson at 3 a.m.
But Mark Jackson came in and poisoned a Jazz locker room that had other Hall of Famers on it.
And did they retain him till the end of the year? Yes, they did.
Yes, they did. Well, sending a guy home on his retirement tour from a team he was a legend for.
At 3 a.m.
At 3 a.m. is very bizarre. I'll be curious if he goes to Houston or New Orleans or if his career's just over.
All right, stay tuned. Hans and Scotty G are next. Jake and Ben,
Thanks,
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.